Welcome back to the Takeout. Here is a look at what else we, and now you, are watching this evening. U.S. Navy ships honoring civil rights icons could soon be renamed. Military documents obtained by CBS News show the Navy is considering renaming vessels, including the USNS Harvey Milk, named after the assassinated gay rights leader and a Navy veteran. The documents did not say what the ship's new names would be, but the proposal comes during Pride Month. Other ships on this evolving list are named after Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Harriet Tubman, and others. The Trump administration is planning to move Greenland from U.S. European Command to U.S. Northern Command. You might say, well, so what? It matters symbolically and might even matter strategically. Moving Greenland under U.S. Northern Command suggests the military views Greenland more as a part of the United States defense than Europe's. Recall that Greenland is an autonomous Danish territory, has repeatedly said it has no interest in becoming part of the United States, territory or otherwise. This despite President Trump's persistent rhetoric in that direction. And an update on a story we told you about last night. Attorneys for MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, you see him there, say they will not present any evidence in his defamation trial proving their assertion that the 2020 election was somehow stolen. An executive for Dominion Voting Systems filed suit over Lindell's claims about the integrity of that very election. During opening statements, Lindell's attorney said, quote, "It's just words. All Mike Lindell did was talk." Indeed. I want to bring in our reporters to the family table. Two are here. Weijia Jiang for the first time. Robert Costa coming back. And forgive me if I have to turn my back to you to Nikole Killion. Nikole Killion on Capitol Hill. Nikole, I want to start with you again. Don't be upset about my back. I got to look over here. About this story about the Navy, the ship names, and this consideration of sort of erasing something that was celebrated for a while as uplifting for national recognition, these longstanding civil rights and other types of heroes in that space.
Yeah, that's right. Well, CBS News has learned that the U.S. Navy is considering potentially renaming some naval vessels that are named after prominent civil rights leaders and Americans, including the late Harvey Milk, the slain gay rights leader. Of course, this potential proposal coming right in the middle of a Pride Month. But we have also learned that other vessels could potentially be up for renaming, including the USNS Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the USNS Harriet Tubman, the USNS Cesar Chavez, among others. So, again, nothing has been finalized at this point, but we have seen some documentation that shows that this is a proposal potentially under consideration. We spoke to a couple of congressional leaders here about that, namely Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. We also got a statement from Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, both of whom decried these potential name changes and said, in the case of Leader Jeffries, that this is something that in the past, when the Department of Defense has tried to, in his words, erase history, it has been stopped. So he feels relatively confident that there will be some pushback to this if it were to move forward. The former speaker, for her part as well, also decrying what she claims is an erasure of history, particularly in the case of USNS Harvey Milk. So again, we will continue to monitor reaction as this story is still developing.
Nikole, thank you for that. I want to talk to you both, Weijia and Robert, about Elon Musk and the statement today that has everyone somewhat rattled, certainly in the Republican cloakrooms of the House and the Senate. And suddenly Democrats who've been denouncing Elon Musk for months as an oligarch and somebody who should not be believed or trusted are now quoting him back in criticism of the president's economic bill. Weij, what's your read?
Well, it's not exactly a surprise if you watched his interview on CBS Sunday morning, because he said something he just didn't use as colorful language.
He wasn't as specific or colorful.
Yes, but he was criticizing the big, beautiful bill. He told our colleague that it adds to the deficit, something that the White House insists is not true. He said it undermined Doge's work because, Major, this isn't just Elon Musk, you know, Trump's advisor. This is Elon Musk, the person the president tasked with shrinking the federal government and cutting costs. And now he is out here saying, what are you doing, guys? This thing, this disgusting abomination, his words, not mine, is just going to add to the deficit. And he said, I can't take it anymore. I have to post this on X and, you know, tell everyone what I think, which is that obviously he does not agree this is the path forward if you want to shrink the government.
Robert, your sense of the potential political impact of this?
Well, we'll have to see. Do Republicans complain and sound the alarm about the deficit, but do they ultimately vote for the bill?
Sure.
President Trump
the most likely outcome.
Well, that was the outcome in the House.
Right.
And Senator Rand Paul might be able to get away with a no vote. He's been a fiscal hawk ever since he was elected to the Senate in 2010. Maybe they don't need his vote at this point, but even Senator Rand Paul is going to face pressure potentially from President Trump if this bill's on the line. And President Trump is actively threatening primaries against those who oppose him.
Invoking the word betrayal. We'll probably hear it more. Nikole, I want to ask you about Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. She got a lot of attention last week. I know she has said there's a broader context. You need to listen to the whole conversation. But she did say in question to a constituent about Medicaid cuts, we're all going to die, which, as we've said on this show, fact check true, that is true, we're all going to die. But in this context, it's taken on a political life of its own.
It has, and certainly while the senator is trying to quash this controversy, Democrats are running with the ball, really trying to slam her for those comments. We did have a chance to catch up with the senator as she returned here to Capitol Hill this week following those comments. Take a listen to what she told me.
Can you care to clarify your comments from the town hall last week, Senator?
I'm very compassionate, and you need to listen to the entire conversation.
Can you?
So as you heard there, she says that she is very compassionate, that we need to listen to the entire conversation. She also went on to say, you know, that this is about protecting the vulnerable, which is something that she also said to her constituents during that town hall. I mean, look, if you listen to the entire exchange, what she was trying to explain is that, you know, in terms of some of these Medicaid cuts, it's really about dealing with these issues of waste, fraud, and abuse, which is what congressional Republicans have been arguing in terms of targeting Medicaid. More specifically, she was talking about ensuring that there aren't undocumented immigrants on the rolls, at which point somebody from the audience yelled out, people are going to die. And then she responded saying, well, we're all going to die. But again, while she tries to quash this, Democrats from Hakeem Jeffries to Leader Schumer to Amy Klobuchar, I mean, everybody here on Capitol Hill is reacting to it so much so we saw a Democrat now challenging her for that U.S. Senate seat, even though Joni Ernst hasn't officially announced her reelection for 2026. A new Democrat got into the race just yesterday. J.D. Scholten, who's a state representative in Iowa, saying he can no longer sit on the sidelines after that town hall comment. So it is something that has now taken on a political life of its own.
Weijia, back to you. The White House said today that tomorrow is effectively deadline day on tariffs for our trading partners. What is the expectation at the White House?
Well, that's the current deadline. I mean, it just depends.
Thank you for underscoring that.
It just depends on
necessary skepticism injected.
Well,
Thank you.
Sure, because we've seen it, evolve so many times. And the president kind of hinted that he was going to do this. About 2 weeks ago, he said, look, we're going to start sending letters to these trading partners, really to let them know that it's time. It's time to come to the bargaining table, or you're going to have to pay. And so I think what we need to remember, Major, is that after Liberation Day, Kevin Hassett, his top economic advisors, the Treasury Secretary, all told us that we have 15 countries lined up. They're on the bubble. That's how close these trade deals are. We are about to get to the other side in the coming days. And that hasn't happened. So I think this is a lot of frustration. The president wants to be able to announce more trade deals. So far, if you're keeping score, there's only been one. And that was with a country where we didn't even have a trade deficit with. And by the way, that's not a formal deal yet.
Robert,
we're still waiting to see the text.
Any danger for the White House in an expectations gap emerging on tariffs and trade?
At this point, he has total control over the Republican Party. So there's no real political risk for Trump. But there is concern inside the White House from some of my sources that Wall Street's always watching everything very carefully. And Trump's watching the market.
Indeed, watching the market and what some traders say about him that is not always charitable thing about the taco. Yeah. Nikole
It's
Killion.
Tuesday.
I have to turn my back ever so briefly. Nikole Killion, thank you so much. Robert Costa, Weijia, great to have you here at the family table. Thank you so much.